Hey, guys, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fine. Not much happening in New York sports right now. I got up and wrote a column this morning, and I said that, historically, we've talked about this before, especially in the 90s when the Knicks were good and the Torrey came in and the Yankees got great, that even then the baseball season didn't start until the Knicks ended. Except the Knicks ended about 5 weeks ago, and guess what happened last night? The Knicks started up all over again, and it felt like basketball season again in New York.
Do you like the deal?
I love the deal. And this, we have to debunk something. People are still dying on the Hill, Michael and Peter and Don. Oh, they didn't get a linchpin player. They didn't get Embiid. I'm sorry. How long have we been talking about them getting somebody like that? And which one are we supposed to get? Giannis, Embiid? No. Look at the Celtics, okay? And they have the two J's without question, okay? But this was a team, I said to somebody the other day, their Josh Harts were kind of better than our Josh Harts, except look at the guys that helped them win. Derek White, Drew Holiday, those guys were essential. I think the planet is shifting in this area because, guys, how did it work out for Paul George and Kawhi and Harden in L.A.? It didn't. How did it work out for Beal and Durant and Devin Booker in Phoenix? It didn't. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out when they tried to do that in Philadelphia. And what they're doing here is they're bringing in, I love Brian Windhorst described Bridges as an elite role player. I think he's a bit more than that. I love the fact that 3 different times in his career he's played all 82, and if we saw what happened to the Knicks last year, that's kind of important. And I love the Nova Knicks story. I love the character of this team. There's a reason why the city fell in love with this team. Except now Leon Rose understood that there's no more 5-year plans. There's a next year plan for this team. Because for all the good stuff that happened this year, guess what? They still haven't made it out of the second round of the playoffs in a quarter of a century.
So how does this team look? Like, you figure Hartenstein may be gone? Could Randall be moved? How do you think this team will end up looking when we get to November next year?
I have been thinking about Randall and talking about it with some Knicks fan friends of mine today. Randall may be the odd man out. And by the way, I really like Julius Randall. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good teammate. John Calipari loved him and loved coaching him. And I'm just not sure if he's a perfect fit with this group. And they don't need a great rim protector, which Porzingis became for the Celtics. You look at Porzingis, and even though he only played a little bit in the playoffs, that first game when he came firing off the bench, I thought it did as much to set the tone for the finals. I think it knocked the Mavericks back and in a way from which they never really totally recovered. I don't think Rose is done. I think Rose is probably still has a wish list. Karl Anthony Towns is probably on that wish list. I don't think they're done. In the same way that the Yankees clearly are a work in progress this season, so are the Knicks. No, I love the Bridges deal.
Now, what about the net side? I mean, what are they doing?
I don't know, Michael. They have become what they have been intermittently across their history, which is they're one of those lost boy franchises. And they keep, the Nets are once again in that situation. And we talk about it's a rabbit hole in sports, especially around here, where they're talking about a season other than the one they're about to play. I don't know how you sell that to their fans. They looked a minute ago like we might have a burgeoning rivalry between the Nets and Durant and Kyrie and the Knicks. And it was gone in the blink of an eye. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their identity is going to be. It's clear that Sean Marks is a little like Brian Cashman is with the Yankees. His career apparently could survive a nuclear attack. Okay, and except he doesn't have the bona fides that Brian has with the Yankees. I don't know. I don't know where they're going. All I know is those draft choices were burning a hole in Leon Rose's pocket. And he finally just took him out and he threw him on the table and said, okay, let's go. Let's deal. I think the Knicks are constructing a modern team. There's a template that they've got. And again, they've got Brunson and the Celtics have Brown and Tatum. Okay, so that's different. Except that Randall, if he stays, he was an all-star as well. But it's those 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that are as much the foundation now of really good teams as the stars are. And I think that the Knicks looked at what the Celtics are doing. And again, you can't focus enough on what guys like Holiday and White. If you saw the final, you know. I mean, Holiday had a great game. White had a great game, and you know, Leon is trying to compete with that. I think this trade, even if Giannis is healthy and even if Embiid is healthy, makes the Knicks number 2 in the Eastern Conference. I honestly do. And I think Knicks fans have a right to dream about how everything would have been this year if Mikal Bridges was on their team this year. No, I'm completely on board with this. If this is a great time to be a Knicks fan, I think.
Now, the other big story, how in trouble do you think the Yankees are?
Oh, no, we've just reached the halfway point of the season. I'll tell you what was troubling last night, and Michael, you've watched him from the moment he showed up here. And I know it's only his second start, but that was troubling watching Garrett Cole get lit up like that. It reminded me of what happened when he went up to Fenway that night in the wild card game a few years ago. And the lasting image right now for Yankee fans is their 2 best pitchers just got thrown down a flight of stairs kind of in recent starts. And they're very top-heavy, this team. They're very top-heavy. I know everybody got giddy because Verdugo hit a home run against the Red Sox. He's a nice player. But Gleyber Torres is playing himself out of town. DJ LeMahieu, Mike, you saw him at his best. You now see him now. He doesn't even look like the same player that he used to be. And the Stanton thing hurts, except no reasonable person on the planet could have expected him not to end up on the AL. I know. Listen, again, he was doing something extremely strenuous, rounding third base, and so they're a flawed team with extraordinary talent at the top. Okay, those 2 guys, Soto and Judge, are tremendous. I mean, Judge all by himself tried to make that a baseball game last night, but I mean, guys, who would have thought a month ago that the Boston Red Sox would only be, 8 games behind the Yankees in the loss column? They look like they were going nowhere. And they've actually been more fun to watch over the last few weeks than the Yankees have been.
It is unbelievable when you think about it, because everybody was ticketing the Yankees to the World Series 2 weeks ago. And you know what? They look like a great team. But a lot of the plans, because as you said, Brian Cashman said it during the winter meetings, got in trouble with Stanton's agent. He said, well, we know that Giancarlo's going to get hurt. And he was right. But their backup plan was Jason Dominguez, and Jason Dominguez then gets hurt. So they don't have enough position players to fill all these holes. I mean, there's a lot of holes now with Rizzo out, with LeMahieu not hitting, with Gleyber Torres not hitting. It's a tough goal right now. It's 1, 2, 3, and then after that, just pray that somebody gets a hit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you can imagine what the threat level is going to be if they get bounced around by the Mets again. Because, listen, put me down as somebody who thought the Mets were going nowhere. And guys, tell me if you thought it would be this important when Francisco Lindor went to the leadoff spot. Because the numbers, not only have his numbers been great, and he's reminded us what a great player he can be, but it's JD showed up at the right time. Alonso really hasn't hit yet, and in the month of June, they've rolled as much as any offense in baseball. That was stunning last night to see them jump the Yankees the way they did.
Just a matter of the Diaz stuff, too. I think they're going to miss him over the next 9 games. I did not like how that whole thing went down over the weekend, Mike. I don't like the way the MLB is so inconsistent with sometimes you can wash your hands, sometimes you get kicked out, and you get an automatic 10-game suspension. And I also didn't like, really, that Diaz didn't have much fight in him. I mean, he defended himself, but just seemed very accepting for a guy now that's going to have to sit out 10 games because of it.
Donnie, he was like one of my kids when they were little. He didn't fight back because he knew they had him. I think he did what the umpires said he did. There are people in baseball who have been wondering for throughout his injury what was going to happen with him and sticky stuff. This is stuff that you kind of have heard on the dark web. That people kind of knew this was going on. And by the way, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but who did the Cubs sign right before this happened? Oh, wait, I know, Tomas Nido. And so maybe he knew, maybe he gave him a heads up that he had enough pine. Maybe, it's like the pine tar bat thing.
That was a great moment in sports. Anyway, Mike, love having you on as always. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Hey, Michael and Don and Peter, it's a blast. Now, listen, I may have to take a Wednesday off because I'm taking a little field trip with my youngest son.
Here we go.
To Wimbledon next week.
And all right.
They have phones
wait. Yeah, they have phones there, Mike.
Oh, come on. He doesn't work for us, guys.
I understand,
He's a friend.
but I mean, wouldn't it be great to get a live report from London?
And by the way, Anthony, the producer, you're not going to start worried about clock integrity now, okay? So,
absolutely not.
Okay, so here's the thing, okay? We're going to go to Wimbledon next Wednesday, Michael, okay? And then, because I'm a good dad, I'm going to take my son out to dinner. Now, do you want me to walk out of the restaurant at that point and then say, sorry, Zach, Daddy has to go talk to people and for
free, yeah.
The worst word that Mike Lupica has in his brain.
That's why we get along.
The real F word.
I think we all agree. You do what you think is right.
Hey, one quick thing, Mike, because we didn't get your take on it. And, I get called the old man all the time. But J.J. Redick is a really bright, intelligent guy.
Oh, Michael, you could stop right there. I saw you the other day. I meant to shoot you a text, okay? You were 1,000% on the right side of that. I'm sorry, J.J. We're not cool enough for you. There's not enough cool words in the English language for you to get by in a press conference. And I'm sorry, Mike, it's not being a prude. It's not being an old man. It's not being get off my lawn, okay? That was so wrong on so many levels. And I guess J.J. must think that great Laker nation that we hear about doesn't include any young kids. And the idea, they hear this stuff all the time. No, they don't. No, they don't. It was completely, Michael, good for you. You were 1,000% right.
Thank you. That makes me feel better. Enjoy Wimbledon.
Okay. Good talking to you guys.
That's Mike Lupica.